Good morning, Memphis. Happy Hanukkah, Modi'in, and welcome to everyone. My name's Wayne Firestone. I'm the Executive Director of the America-Israel Friendship League. Thrilled to be with you, starting out a holiday season now with not only good cheer, but really thinking about all the people who we can touch by giving and giving back. I'm so blessed today to be surrounded virtually by a group of colleagues that are doing mitzvah work, that are creating blessings, that are bringing some light into people's lives during the days in which we know that are the darkest of the year according to the calendar. So we're going to bring some light today. We're going to shed some light on these efforts. And indeed, we've assembled a panel that knows a thing or two about doing this not only during the holiday season, but really, frankly, doing this year-round. And there are some special both opportunities and needs that are created during the holiday season to sort of lift people up. And that's something that we've really strived to do during this period of pandemic and even before. This year in particular, we know there have been some real challenges that everyone is dealing with, and how we lift people up and what traditions our different faiths and backgrounds and family traditions bring to bear can really impact on people. I see people calling in already from Kuwait and from San Diego, so we hope you'll post where you are at the moment and any particular traditions you have in your own family or faith tradition that you like to do at the holiday time in winter to make people feel even more special and more illuminated during difficult times. We would love to hear from you. We would love to know about those traditions. So we're going to start today in Philadelphia, and we're going to hear about a very, very impactful program that exists here from a good friend and colleague of mine first, Pastor Todd Stavrakos. Todd and I had the distinction of sharing some amazing baklava together in Nazareth and having a wonderful time in Israel where he was leading a delegation from the Presbyterian Church. I'm really proud of our association with Todd. He comes to us from Gladwyne Presbyterian Church in Pennsylvania, but he is really our contact to a much broader group of supporters and individuals from the Presbyterian and Church through his various involvements, including with an organization of volunteers called Presbyterians for Middle East Peace. I know you'll hear from Scott in a moment about some of those specific efforts, but today you're going to actually hear from him specifically about a program that was born in his church and has evolved even further to impact on the lives of people with very specific needs. So, Todd, we're going to start with you and then move on to the other panelists in Israel and in Chicago in a moment. So why don't you share a little bit about the work of MANNA, and then we'll see a film that introduces their work and hear from Rob.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with all of you on this. This is the third Sunday of Advent for those of us in the Christian tradition. And the third Sunday of Advent is the Sunday of joy. And so we rejoice in the work that I think all the people and the organizations that they represent who are on this Zoom webinar. From brothers and sisters of faith in the Jewish tradition, we're in the midst of Hanukkah, where we celebrate the light, and in a similar way in Advent in the Christian tradition, we also celebrate that light. Interfaith work, I think, is critical to the spreading of the light that we are both celebrating this time. Gladwyne Presbyterian Church has worked with other churches. For instance, in Thanksgiving, we introduced 350 meals for people in need in the Lower Merion community. And in a great twist, for Christmas, we're going to do 550 meals. They're going to be staged out of the parking lot out of the mainline Reform Temple. So the Jewish community is offering of themselves and their facilities to help us provide Christmas meals this holiday season. That's how interfaith, multi-faith context can work and benefit us all. As we're all dealing with the pandemic of COVID, back in the 90s, Philadelphia and everywhere else was dealing with also a different pandemic, and that was AIDS. I was the member, I wasn't a pastor yet, but I was a member of First Presbyterian Church in Philadelphia, where a group of people became very concerned about how people suffering from AIDS would get their nourishment. They needed meals, they needed proper meals, they needed a good, nutritious meal. Where could they get them? And so starting with about 7 volunteers, they worked in the church kitchen to start preparing meals for AIDS patients. Obviously, at that time, AIDS was taboo. People were afraid of people with AIDS. And yet here, the people of faith decided to step beyond what society was saying and share the light of their hearts. And so I won't introduce much more other than to say this is what people of faith can do when they are moved by the Lord that we all worship to do good works. So let me introduce you to MANNA.
We were started in the basement of the First Presbyterian Church of Philadelphia. A handful of volunteers started working, and for many, many years, we were really focused only on people with HIV/AIDS.
I joined MANNA in 1999 as a registered dietitian. I felt so fortunate to be able to join an organization that was dedicated to nutrition and HIV and AIDS.
But it wasn't until 2006 that we actually expanded the mission beyond HIV and AIDS.
There are hundreds and hundreds of people that are fighting illness in our area that don't have support systems where someone can come and bring them 3 meals a day.
Our clients, they have cancer, they have diabetes, kidney disease, HIV and AIDS. Last year, MANNA touched over 85 different illnesses.
At MANNA, we talk about having a dream that one day you would go to your doctor's office and just like the doctor writes a prescription for medicine, that we would think about food the same way.
They have to take this medication and they need to go here for their chemo, their radiation, their dialysis. And most often, probably 90% of the time on their discharge orders, they have a prescribed diet, and there is no place for people to go get that prescribed diet.
We really are the pharmacy for your prescription diet. We provide them with 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, and it's all home delivered to our clients at no charge.
The science at MANNA started with the dietitians and really making sure that the meals were meeting very specific nutritional guidelines.
The MANNA model includes our medically modified meals along with our medical nutrition therapy services. The focus of the nutrition counseling is really to work with each client individually to understand their nutritional needs and concerns and provide the nutrition education and counseling that they need to help improve their health while they're dealing with these serious illnesses.
We have 11 different diets, and some of our clients are battling multiple illnesses, so they need to be on 2 or 3 different diets. And so our clients can be assured that the nutrient content is specifically designed with the right calorie needs, the right protein needs, the right fat needs.
We sourced all of the national nutrition guidelines to come up with our 6-week cycle menu, making sure that we're not just sending them food, but we're sending food that's healthy for them and helping to nourish them back to health.
I've been fighting cancer off and on, and I came across MANNA meals.
In 2013, Kenny born with a rare condition, and this syndrome damaged his liver.
I do honor guard funerals. I shoot the M1 at the honor guard funerals. And I noticed that for some reason, I wasn't coming up like I used to. And I fell under this arm and I fell a lump. And then it was cancer.
They wanted me to have a special diet because of the cancer. I can't cook for myself. I can't stand long enough to cook for myself.
I lost about 10, 12 pounds inside of like a month. And then MANNA stepped in.
The meals are already prepared. So all I have to do is basically take them from the freezer and put them into the microwave.
Organic food and other food is expensive. Sugary foods is cheap and it's not good for these kids.
One thing that's really important when you're dealing with cancer, you have to keep a certain weight. If it wasn't for MANNA meals, I wouldn't be here.
You had a full meal, right? And they had all that good fruit, the apple cake, it was just unbelievable. I never ate like that even when I was married.
When he receives the delivery, he starts, oh my food. He enjoy a lot.
MANNA wouldn't be MANNA without the volunteers.
It is such an inspiration to come here every day and walk through that kitchen and see those 150 volunteers and see corporate groups and see individuals.
Volunteerism translates quickly to wellness. That feeling, that quick translation to making a difference is one more thing that makes MANNA so great.
What you see in the kitchen is people rolling up their sleeves. Everybody's talking, everybody's happy. I love being in the MANNA kitchen.
They want to be here. They want to contribute to the mission, and that makes the job super easy. It's like an orchestra, so everybody has their little part to play, and when you put it all together, it sounds really good.
They help with all of the kitchen production as well as some of our deliveries. So we have about 1,200 clients right now, and we're doing 3 meals a day, 7 days a week with only 4 full-time chefs.
They can actually see the meals come together, and they know that those meals are going to be in a client's hands within a few days.
Part of my goal, in addition to making sure that people have a great experience, is that they understand like we all need to help each other, and that's what helps make this world go around.
There's something so powerful about that, knowing that you're helping to nourish your neighbor. You may not know who they are, but you're helping to get them well.
I can't thank MANNA enough for what they did for me.
I'm living proof that MANNA meals work. They keep me going. They keep me strong. They build me up when I'm at my lowest.
I, every day, take a moment to feel fortunate and humbled to come and be able to represent and speak on behalf of this amazing organization that truly believes in the power of nutrition.
We've come a very, very long way, and I hope you're as proud as we are of the shining example this building is to our commitment to the most vulnerable people in our community.
When I think about MANNA, I see nothing but great growth and this incredible success stories.
It's amazing how much we've grown in 28 years, and at the same time how much of that compassion and that caring is still part of MANNA. We had a client who called and left us a message, and she said, you know, the food is great, the love is better.
We will always want to take care of our Philadelphia community and be providing the resources that we do, the meals, the community connections, the volunteers, the education. But I think our policy change and our research can have international impact.
The impact that we have is not only on our clients, but also on the Philadelphia region at large.
You're part of the community. And when you do give to MANNA, you're really giving to yourself. You're feeling better about you and who you are and why you were put on this earth. So to do it, you're just connecting the dots. It's that simple.
Rob Saxon, we saw you in the film. You're the Director of External Affairs at MANNA. You have a lot to be proud of from those images and from the responses, you know, from I'm already seeing from our viewers who recognize that this really is a community effort. Can you share a few words on what this work, you know, has been like during the pandemic, and in particular now as we head into the holiday season and people really sort of need an extra lift?
So thank you. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Rob Saxon. I'm the Director of External Affairs at MANNA. And I am so proud to be able to talk to the greater population about what we do every day outside of Philadelphia. For people to hear that, it's very powerful. People ask me all the time, what is MANNA? What do you do at MANNA? And what MANNA does is we're revolutionizing healthcare with nutrition interventions, and we're harnessing the power of food as medicine. We are a leader in evidence-based nutrition services, and we advance research in the field of food as medicine. We bring together dietitians, chefs, drivers, and thousands of volunteers to cook and deliver our medically tailored meals at no cost to our clients who are battling really the battle of their life. They all have some form of life-threatening illness, and we empower our clients with a nutrition education to improve their health and their quality of life. And to be able to go out and talk about that and to a larger audience like this is pretty amazing. And when I was thinking about, setting the table for the holidays, MANNA's biggest day of the year is Thanksgiving Day. Really, I always tell everyone that Thanksgiving Day is MANNA at our best. All of our clients get a traditional Thanksgiving meal delivered to them, and it's enough food for 4 people. And it's the one day of the year that they're empowered to invite somebody in to share the meal with them. It's all very different in the midst of COVID. We've had to change the way we operate our kitchen every day. And that video obviously was filmed before COVID, so nobody has masks on, they're not socially distant. We follow all government protocols, and the kitchen operates under that now. So Thanksgiving Day, we had no volunteers in the kitchen. All of the meals were prepared in advance and the staff put them together. We did have over 240 volunteers though come out for a volunteer effort to help deliver those meals. So we did like a contactless pickup that day and sort of created our own parade out on the street outside of MANNA, where they came and picked up the meals and then delivered them to the clients.
Well, there's no question that just in looking at the images on the film and hearing you describe the team that you've created of volunteers and the community you're serving, it is indeed a setting of the table of many tables. It's not just one table, it's many tables that you're serving and providing for. And we're grateful to learn about your specific niche of the and what you've learned, which I think is really also an important aspect of giving back, is understanding what kind of nutritional foods actually are helpful and matter. And as your sort of logo goes, that food is medicine, and healthy food is something that can make people who are both food insecure or at risk in other ways medically. So we're grateful to have those insights. So Pastor Todd and I were fortunate to actually visit when we were in Israel, not only great culinary spots, but really to see other forms of community engagement that really affected us. I think I could speak for Todd as well. One of the places we visited together was a very special school in Tel Aviv called the Bialik Rogozin School. And the school has been the subject of a documentary film that went on to be recognized at the Oscars. It's an incredible story about what happens when people in a community come together and take on and acknowledge and shed light on some of the real hardships that people are going through, in particular the plight of refugee children who are often displaced from their families, or their families are going through transitions. We've seen this as a global phenomenon, and it's certainly a phenomenon that in Israel and in Tel Aviv, all of society has had to face and address in different ways. So we're going to hear now actually from the principal of the school, Jalal Toshe, who I met on this trip, and is the principal of the school. He comes with a background, interesting enough, both a bachelor's and a master's in social work administration and management. And what you're about to hear about this incredible school is really, it is an engagement effort not only for the pupils during the school hours, but it is really an entire community engagement. So we're grateful to have Jalal here, and I'm going to have him introduce a little bit about the school and the population that it's serving, and then we're going to see some images and hear from one of the teachers from the school as well.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Maybe good evening for everyone. I'd like to wish you a happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas. You should know that in these days, the old city of Jaffa, especially the square, the Shaon Square, is beautiful in lights of Christmas trees and Hanukkah. So I hope that next time when we'll be here, you can see this side of beautiful old city of Jaffa. My name is Jalal Tuchi. I am an Arab, Israel citizen, living in Jaffa, Tel Aviv, and it's an honor for me to be the first Arab principal of a general public school that the students in it are not Arabs only. The Tel Aviv education leaders had the courage to nominate me to run the school, and I am much more than happy to be here since 2019. There are students from grade 1 to 12, and it's a very unique school in Israel. Most of the students are children of asylum seekers, migrant child, and refugees. Our students come from about 40 countries and belong to all religions. You can imagine how wonderful it is to have a daily journey walking at the whole schools and see so many faces represent different nationalities and religions. There's nothing that makes me feel happy more than being makes part of Bialik Rogozin. We have amazing teachers from all sides of the Israeli community. I would love now to show you a short clip about what we are doing these days in Hanukkah and Christmas and the best way of our activities. And after that, the English teacher, Mr. Arnon, will talk about the teacher's activities. I would like to say thank you all, and special thanks to Ms. Ruby Shamir that gave me the opportunity to take part on this webinar, and to Tovanot organization, Tovanot Bechinuch organization, Insight Education, and to Mr. Yossi Vardi. I hope he's with us now. I know that Karen is watching us. Have a nice day, and thank you for being here. And I would love to see you in my school again, maybe this year or next year. Thank you very much.
בוקר טוב וחג שמח לכולם, לתלמידים הנפלאים שיש בבית ספר, למורים המיוחדים שיש בקמפוס ביאליק רוגוזין ולהורים היקרים. מאחל לכם חג חנוכה שמח וחג מולד שמח, שנחיה את החיים בצורה הכי טובה, מאושרת, בבריאות לכולם. אוהב אתכם, אין על קמפוס ביאליק רוגוזין. חג שמח לכולם, עיד מילד סעיד, מג'יד, כל עام וטוב על חיר.
Well, Arnon, I have to tell you, this brings back such memories for me of visiting. My main impression of visiting the school was there was a constant music of voices, a constant performance of dancing on those stairs. The one big difference was nobody was wearing masks. So Arnon, I know you are one of the dedicated teachers that works with these students and has found a way not only to reach them and work with them in different languages and from their different backgrounds. Can you tell us a little bit about heading into this period now of the holidays, some of the special programs that you all have created and how the students and their families have responded? And we do have to take you off mute.
Yeah, I'm not as inept as you guys in all this technology and all this webbing and whatnot. I'm really choked up every time I see the clip and I hear Jalal, and I think about the things that are going on in school right now with the masks on, and the kids are coming in and they're smiling underneath the mask. It's just, I'm all choked up, and I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank Jalal. Jalal roped me into this at the very last minute, literally, and I really appreciate it, and I feel like I want to extend a huge embrace to all of you over sea, over mountain, over sea. How does the anthem go? Over mountain, over sea. That's the empowerment that's coming through. Allow me, I'll comment on some of the projects that I do in a somewhat unique way, if you allow me. I'm thinking of John Lennon today for two reasons. Lennon was a festival of light all by himself. And Lennon's light still shines even 40 years this month after his death. The Festival of Light play and songs that you're going to see some clips of is a student-involved and empowering program that focuses on how alike we are in all our celebrations and in our visions. John Lennon saw this. He sang "Come Together Right Now." He spoke about a dream you dream alone is only a dream you dream together is a reality. And he said, only by trying on other people's clothes do we find what size we are. The Festival of Light song that you'll see and hear finds further common ground in the way that freedom and peace are human rights we all strive for. John Lennon shed light on this so beautifully. He said, peace is not something you wish for, it's something you make, it's something you do, it's something you are, it's something you give away. He believed that if everyone could just be happy with themselves and the choices people around them make, the world would instantly be a better place. I think that sums up the spirit of the Festival of Light play and songs that you'll see some parts of, as well as the school vision of acceptance of others and appreciating each and all for who they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnon. Do you want to maybe share just also a little bit about the play that the students have been working on and how that incorporated their different, the fact that they come from different backgrounds and religiously and from different parts of the world? I think people would be interested to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. The play itself, like many projects that I try to put together, they rely on the fact that the students themselves are the best channel to celebrate anything of a multi-faith and a multicultural aspect. They live it, they breathe it, and it's just giving them a chance to obviously I'm an English teacher, so I'm giving them an opportunity to speak in the characters of different faiths. Some of them are speaking, for example, in the name of the Muslim faith, and some of them are speaking in the name of the Christian faith and the Jewish faith, and Kwanzaa and Diwali and all these festivals of light. They're doing it, and they're acting in different roles, and that of course, and they come out feeling very elated, and they have a lot to contribute in discussion. And obviously, this is something that reinforces the tolerance and reinforces the multicultural atmosphere of the school. And at this time of year, it's especially important because they see the commonalities, they see the differences, they see the commonalities. They also see things that they're not familiar with. For example, Kwanzaa. They don't know about that. But then I try to lead them into thinking about their own African heritage. Those students that come from the African states in Africa, Eritrea and Ethiopia and Kenya and Ghana. It's a fantastic. Unfortunately, this year we weren't able to do so, obviously because of the COVID. But in the past, it's been an unbelievable experience.
Thanks, Arnon, and thanks, Jalal, for sharing just both the spirit of the school as well as the really the joy that the students you're reaching. I know there's a process, and we want to talk to you a little bit about that in a moment. So I'm going to head back to the other. We're going to head west now. Our good friend Chef Lamar Moore, who is no stranger to this program. We met him at the very beginning of our series in our very first episode when we didn't actually know what it meant to be a friend indeed. And that's when we met Chef Lamar. We met him as a master chef. We met him with a huge following of Instagram fans who love to not only look at his food, but to learn about it and to taste it in one of his restaurants, which normally is in Chicago and now is also in Las Vegas. And who knows, given his popularity, will continue to grow and bless all the people that get to visit him in the restaurant in person. You know, we celebrated Chef Lamar, his culinary creations, and we have prayed together for the time we can bring him to Tel Aviv to meet with other chefs who we've done these virtual programs with. But there's been a piece of Chef Lamar's quiet brilliance that we haven't been able to share yet, and that is the work that he does in the community in helping as part of a movement, I think it would be fair to say, of other chefs who recognize the unique challenges of people in insecure communities. And Chef Lamar has been partnering with World Central Kitchens, which has become famous for its work in providing food to insecure communities following natural disasters and other challenges during the pandemic. And so we asked Chef Lamar to take a few minutes away from a busy schedule of both travel and serving meals to tell us a little bit about this effort and what that looks like on the front lines of people serving insecure communities, but also from the chefs themselves, many of whom have been thrown out of their jobs, have been thrown out of their kitchens. And when we met first Chef Lamar, he was cooking from his own kitchen in his own home. So Chef Lamar, welcome back. Thanks for being with us. And please tell us a little bit about, you know, what it's like being a professional chef and being able to help and touch people in, you know, this particular period of time with such challenges.
Sure. Thanks, Wayne. Definitely appreciate being here with you guys again. I think, you know, a lot of people have to keep in mind when we talk about what we do and, you know, being friends is because, you know, we want to touch people from around the world, and we're able to do that, you know, definitely with our computers and our phones in our hands. We couldn't do it 10 years ago. When we talk about chefs helping, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm going to go backwards and not go, you know, where we are now. Back in March, you know, just give you a little background on myself. Most recently, I was on Food Network, and I won a television show called Food Network's Vegas Show Prize Fight. And so my prize was to be the head chef of a brand new steakhouse here in Las Vegas. And obviously, you know, when you win something, you're expecting a lot of the glam, the glory, and the prizes, and so on and so forth. Well, because of the pandemic, that didn't quite happen the way we thought it was going to be. And I'm originally from Chicago, so you know, when I started in Chicago, you know, like as Wayne, you know, prefaces, a lot of us chefs were just idle and not know what to do. I've spent a lot of years, you know, being able to help, you know, mentor students, young adults, you know, helping communities as much as I can, because I grew up in a community, you know, that gave back to me. And I watched my grandmother do it when I was a child and wanted to be able to do it as an adult and even in my latter years as a chef. And so gracefully, World Central Kitchen, which is operated by Chef Jose Andres, which is another chef who is, you know, boots on the ground pretty much all over the world, you know, being able to help a lot of areas of disasters and schools. And so they reached out to me and asked if I was interested in being a part of World City Kitchen in Chicago. Excuse me. And I absolutely said yes. And what I thought too, I wanted to be able to maximize what I was able to do. And so talk about friends. I had some friends that operate a restaurant called Roots Pizza and 50/50 Restaurant Group. And what it allowed us to do as a team was it helped them employ or re-employ another 50 employees. We worked out at one of their newer restaurants that had closed down due to the pandemic, and we were able to keep that afloat. And within 3 months, we produced over 60,000 meals from the frontline workers to the initiative of employees that were furloughed. So what was great about that with the restaurant group, they had already had some things going on too. They were working with the Elite Initiative program, which is Chef Edward Lee out of Louisville, Kentucky, where he was doing kind of the same thing, but in a different way. And it also allows opportunities for a lot of great companies like Tillamook Creamery. I work with Certified Angus Beef and a lot of those companies and Purely Meats out in Chicago. They saw what we were doing and what we were trying to do. And a lot of companies also reached in to help donate, product for us to get to, people on a day-to-day basis. So, being a part of the community is really, really huge to me. Being able to get back to the community is huge. Working with Caesars here in Las Vegas, their initiative was the same. Right when the pandemic hit, they donated over 1 million pounds of food to a lot of food depositories here in Las Vegas. And, it doesn't stop. I'm headed back to Chicago here right before the holidays. There was a food pantry that I worked with previously, I think back in June. And she is, this lady, I guess, has been doing this in the community for over 20 years. And, I linked up with her with another company I work with, Mariano, it's a supermarket. And I wanted to know what I could do to help her even more, because I saw that she was just embedded in the community. She had a food pantry, and I thought it'd be really, really cool to step in and help him. We're going to go back and give her another boost right before the holidays, and continue this motion. I think whenever we look to complain once, I think you should look twice to look at people that could utilize our help, in some better ways and some other ways. And Tillamook has been another company I worked with in the past, has been gracious and assisted with some donations and, helping me continue that same philanthropy motions. As far as chefs, it's very, very difficult right now. If you're looking around the world, chefs definitely here in the United States, chefs they're pivoting quite a bit and, turning operations from being, being able to sit down and dine in to now having to do, we call cave kitchens outside where, it's very, very limited, and it's very different. Here in Vegas, all the restaurants right now on 25% occupancy, meaning that you still can come here and dine in, but you can only allow under 25%, people inside of your restaurants, where I was just in Chicago for 3 weeks and, everything was pretty quiet and everything's, outside. And imagine that, from a chef or a restaurateur where you're trying to operate a restaurant in the cold, and then some of the other, winter states. So, chefs are finding their ways and, creative ways of trying to do to-go food and changing up their cold operations, but also being able to get back and, help communities. And if I could say one more thing in closing, I hope, unfortunately we are sitting, almost a year, believe it or not, during this, but I hope that it continues to bring us together more as a community, more as, the world turns and, and more as friends as we created here.
Well, amen. I think one of the real recognitions is this has just been a really hard year, right? We're for a lot of people, and it has taken heroes to step forward from lots of different sectors, some who are known and some who are not known. Todd, I'd love to hear your reflection, thinking about this very tough year, and literally just before the shutdown started, we were able to spend time together in Israel and see how the best of people can be channeled in ways to address even the most fundamental challenges. We looked at a number of peace and coexistence projects together while we were in Israel, met with students, saw their enthusiasm, and now you're on a panel, almost a year later, where people have been, in an unprecedented way, been forced into isolation and into fear and we're on a dark day. So what have you seen both in Israel and in Philadelphia with the emergence of an organization like MANNA being able to address even the most difficult modern day plagues that any of us can imagine?
Being a part of a faith community, and I can't speak from a non-faith perspective, but being part of a faith community, there's something that's in you that drives you. We know that there's a darkness out there. We get that, and Advent, it's no coincidence that Advent and Christmas, occur in December, and I don't know the date when Jesus was born, okay? But I do know from a human perspective, a church that, has been primarily a Northern European church, recognize the importance of celebrating the birth of Christ in the month where it's darkest. And it's that inspiration of the light that comes to us in the midst of our dark times. The pandemic, I think, has brought us back to that understanding. And I think the faithful communities and the groups that are doing wonderful work, like the folks on this panel, understand that there's always a darkness in the world. And we can either give up, crawl back into bed, pull the covers over our heads, or we can recognize that there are other people out there that even in this midst of darkness are worse off than we are. And how do we give back? And from a faith perspective, and I think people who, even from a non-faith perspective, it's that light that shines within us that really guides us during these difficult times. I'm still involved with several groups in Israel that, as you mentioned, that we visited, the Gavad Haviva International School, and they're still bringing kids, they're still educating, they're still doing wonderful work. They've had to change, but the light that pushes them to create, leaders for the future is still pushing them. The folks at MANNA, they had to retool on the fly. They had to change how they were doing things. And you know what? They're still meeting the needs of the community that they serve, because that's the light that drives them. I hear the same thing from Chef Lamar. Chefs have become, in many regards, leaders in the community of caring, because they found new and different ways to not only, keep their businesses going. And for them, it's not just keeping their businesses going, but it's keeping their employees able to have money to take care of their families. So they've found new ways of doing it. I hear Arnon and Jamal about the work that they're doing for, the refugee communities. It's people who have a bright light burning within that continue to scream against the darkness. And we'll get through this, and we'll continue doing wonderful work. And so from, what we've shared on our trips to what we're sharing now in this webinar, it's the same bright people. When I say bright, I mean the light that shines, that continues to bear witness to the goodness that human beings are.
Yeah, and I think, as you mentioned that Todd, just thinking about and one of the viewers put in the reference to the Oscar-winning documentary. It was produced by HBO. It's called Strangers No More, about the Bialik School. Really is a beacon, not only for times like this, but really for all people serving different refugee communities, recognizing the displacement and the challenge of what it is for a young individual and their family. And yet, certainly at the school, there's almost a magic. It doesn't mean there isn't hardship with that magic and the ability. Jalal, I wonder if you could comment maybe a little bit about, I know from your own background that before you were a principal at this school, you were a principal of the first, one of the first special, you were a founding principal of a special needs school as well. And so what is it that you've discovered in working with vulnerable people and populations that allows your educators like Arnon not merely to find something for them to do, but to actually allow them to grow and aspire to be the best that they can be as citizens, and to pursue advanced studies as your school uniquely does now.
The major work that I've done with the student of Jaffa, all of them was Arabic students that came from very bad situations. The most thing that I show them that I really love them. There's no act being there, because an actor, it's for 1 hour and more and it will live on. I really love them and I respect them. What I teach them to be respectful students and give respect for the other people in Israel. No matter if they are Jewish or Arab, Christians or Muslims, they should be human beings. That was the majority of my job there. And the other things, I let their families also know that their child are very unique and they can do things, not just being in the streets and make troubles. So the work with them, also I have also their master chef was working with them, like make special dinners for the citizens in Jaffa, those who needs. And they, when they feel that they can make something and bring it to the people, they get the respect that nobody believes that they can get, and that was the major work with them in Jaffa.
Chef Lamar, as I listened to both Todd and Jalal point to the centrality of chefs as heads of and leaders of communities of care, it really sheds life to someone who we often don't get to see. The chef is often not on the front line. It's happening in the background, and yet for a number of different reasons, we're hearing from partners of this role that chefs are uniquely playing. And when you talk about 60,000 meals that you serve, one can begin to quantify what that means in your particular community. At what point did you realize that you needed to play this sort of secondary role beyond just, running a successful business enterprise?
Well, first thing is when I was a kid, it's the worst thing ever, especially in Chicago, and I'm sure other places, when you ride down the street and you see at a minimum 10 people probably every so many miles that are homeless, and they don't have food. When I lived in San Francisco, I saw the same thing in Dolores Park. And then you think about all the pounds of food that you cook per day and how half of it goes in the garbage. And sometimes we forget how privileged we are to be able to get up and make a meal and be comfortable when you see so many people out there that are in need. So when you have an opportunity to be able to change that, you make your voice count, and you have people that rally behind you and with you, to make your voice count even more. And, for a lot of us, we don't get up for the paycheck, obviously, it pays our bills, but we get up for the pride of being able to fill somebody's belly for the day. And, I think the biggest Kickstarter for me was my very, very first job. I worked in a hospital. So I got to see all different facets of food. Food helped someone that passed away. Food was a soul for people that was sick, that needed good food. And food was also an umbrella to help us work together as a team, as a family. And, food was also put at my table for us to sit and enjoy each other. And for that one moment, you want to be able to put something in someone that can at least have some enjoyment for that moment. So, and it's us chefs, I think I talked, there's a chef here I just recently met, Jeff Henderson. He's been around a long time, and, his story is incredible. I mean, for a guy that was, incarcerated to now how he's helping people that were incarcerated. Sometimes when your career flash forward and you remember backwards to where you were, for what we call it in the pits, and you want to bring people up, from where you came, because that there's an opportunity. He and I are talking about what we can do together here, to increase that movement even better. People need, I think there's a fine line of help and support. People don't necessarily need help anymore. I mean, especially during the pandemic, if you look what we're going through right now, we know what help is. We actually need support. You know, we need to pick up the phone for support so we can then, you know, quantify those missions. And so as chefs, you know, if I'm on the line, I don't need you to help me to drop 5 bags of fries. I need you to support me through the rush so that we can maximize our cover. So that's huge for us.
Great point. Rob, can I come back to you? There are a couple of questions here about MANNA and the specific things that people can do during this period that are helpful for food insecure people. Are there particular suggestions of what is most helpful, and what are the kind of foods that you find are most needed by the communities you serve?
What would be most helpful for MANNA is we need volunteers every day. Prior to the pandemic, we would have 150 volunteers a day come into the kitchen to help us prepare and package. When the pandemic hit, we lost everyone. We lost all of our corporate groups for the entire year. And because of social distancing, we've had to cut our numbers down. So we're operating now with roughly 60 to 70 volunteers a day. So that is a constant need. You know, it fluctuates up and down, but we're open and we're operating every day. There's specific protocols that the volunteers are going through now, but we're making the kitchen work with social distancing. Everyone's in masks, and it's kind of amazing to see that. I just was thinking, listening to everybody talk, what I think for MANNA, or for me personally, out of all of this, is on the darkest days, to see the volunteers continue to come in every day and give of themselves so freely to help our clients who are the most vulnerable. They need our help more than anyone. And we have people coming every day to help us do that. But that's a continual need. So if I could, I mean, and of course, there's always a financial need because we buy all of our products for the clients. So of course we need money, but the volunteer efforts, it's something we have every day. There's a need for that.
Jalal, I'm curious for you and Arnon, if you also have been able to tap into volunteers in the community and people with Jaffa is so famous for restaurants and are there other people that are helping the school and involved with the school?
Yes, we are working with a very unique organization. It's called Food for Soul, the Amazon Lanchama in Hebrew. 2 times a week, they came to our school and they bring so many kinds of food and organize it in Friday morning, and they sent it for about 300 families around the school from the north of Tel Aviv. And I work also with restaurant from Jaffa, or a special restaurant there. Sending them people who need also to work or need to have food from there. And it's a very special thing that we do there. Yes.
And Arnon, I know in as you said, you couldn't perform the play that you have worked on this year under these circumstances, but how are you involving and engaging the community with the students, you know, this year during the holidays in ways that are perhaps different or more limited from the past?
Well, obviously we needed to go into into a different format, and we needed to use as much as we can Zoom, and even in classes. A lot of the times I see the parents behind the kids. And instead of them realizing that they're on camera and suddenly, going aside, I actually asked them to take part. And they're surprised at first, but it's an example of things. I try to put into the classes things that are either of relevance to today for current events, and of course for the holidays, the holiday of holidays, and all of these themes are going in, and they're integrated into their classes, and I encourage the kids to bring on their parents. Not all of them were able to do so. They were obviously a bit ashamed, and they didn't want to be in front of the camera and just the audio and all. But it was an experience. It wasn't as far from what we would have done ordinarily, obviously, but it is something, and they expect it, and the kids know about it. It's already a tradition, and they know about it, and they say, what are we going to do now for this? Because we're not in class and we're not doing the play, but they're interested. They want to know. They want to involve as many as they can within their communities as well. Some of them even told me they're scouts. Scouts are very active in our community. So they actually took part of the play to the scouts, and they actually put on little skits. So there you go.
That's great. That's great. So, you know, in the Hanukkah tradition, many of you know that tonight is actually the fourth night of Hanukkah, and we'll light 4 candles with the shamash with one other candle. So I think I'm going to use that construct to close out now and give each one of you a minute to light one candle with just one image from this holiday season that you find inspiring and enlightening to share from your community and your perspective of how we can bring light into people's lives. So Todd, if I could start with you to light the first candle.
I think it's the people who continue to seek and find those in need and just break out of the silos. It's so easy to kind of hunker down. So the first candle, the people of compassion and empathy who find ways to care.
Great. Rob, you want to light the second candle?
Yeah, I'll follow up on that. It's the goodness in people, whether they're donors, whether they're volunteers, the outpouring of support that we have found throughout this global pandemic has been overwhelming. And we can't do it without them. And people have shown up, you know, on the darkest day when you think that, you know, you've hit that wall, there they are, and they're offering you help. And that just to me is so powerful. When I walk through our kitchen every day and I look at our staff and our volunteers, I mean, the staff at MANNA has not stopped since the first day of the pandemic. I mean, they have worked day in and day out, and it's a really powerful thing to see that in action.
That's great. Jalal, can you maybe just share one image that brings you hope and light for this coming year from your students?
One image. Nothing is possible. Just you can broke the glasses and go after your dreams. I am all the time tell them, go after your dreams. Nothing is going to stop you. Like me, as an Arabic citizen from Jaffa, I broke the glasses and I go on without thinking that because I'm Arabic, I will stuck in the Arab society and never get to all the world. I want them to see the world. The world needs our students. They are very unique, very special in different ways. And love. I still believe, maybe I'm from the old fashions, but I still believe that love can make different things all around. And now we can see that the world is going in Israel with the Arab nations, is going to make peace, and that's fulfill me in a lot of hope and love in Hanukkah. I believe all the religions can get together and fulfill the dreams that God wants us to do, just to be a human being. That's what I'm pray for.
Thank you. Arnon, just one image from your students of hope for the new year.
There you go, another one of those. I'm just remembering one student of mine who sang at the graduation ceremony last year. She sang a song by Whitney Houston. How does it go? We're all one, and you have to believe in yourself. It brought me to tears, and the entire audience and the students there that were all so moved. So it's music. It's the music of our music. It's the music of the kids. It's the music of day to day, going through the day to day grind with them, together with them, all with the hardships, with the problems, and it's an incredible amount of hope and beauty. And her name is Beauty, by the way. She's of African descent, and her name is Beauty. Tremendous.
Thank you. And Chef Lamar, I'm going to let you take it home with one image. It could be an image of something you cook, or it could be an image of someone you served, whoever you want.
I'm going to leave it with passion and patience. I think, I watch a lot of people now, we've gone long and hard with this, and a lot of people's hearts are at a different place. So I think when we out in the streets and we're out in the areas, just have a little bit more passion, compassion, and patience.
Well, I think all these are really sage words of advice and wisdom, and something for us all to appreciate. The power of an organization run by love. Each of your organizations does that and really brings together during this holiday season the theme that we wanted to focus on. I'm going to close out. We heard one of the evangelists for the school, Yossi Vardi, was our recent recipient of the Partner for Democracy Award from Israel. I noticed that one of our other alumni of the Partner for Democracy Award, Secretary George Shultz, is celebrating his 100th birthday today. So we want to recognize deeds and people who are both seen and not seen. And at this time of year, when we're trying to grapple with the challenges that we've already overcome and that we have to continue to face, I think what we've heard from these three different community efforts brings us a great deal of light to bring into the new world. So thank you everyone for being with us, from all of our friends and family at the America-Israel Friendship League around the world. We wish you all, those celebrating, a Hag Sameach, Hanukkah Sameach, and for all of you heading into this holiday season, we will continue to provide inspirational program week in, week out. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you again every Wednesday and Sunday. Good day.
See you. See you.
Thank you.
Our faces will shine in the candlelight tonight, when we take the time to look into each other's eyes. Laugh like picnic Christmas tree, I can tell you're not that different from me. Our faces will shine in the candlelight tonight. As we celebrate, let's keep one thing inside. We'll know when we truly have seen the light, with a flicker and glimmer of mirth, only when there's peace on earth. Special light for Muslims marks God's presence, a symbol of goodness and guidance of the divine. During Kwanzaa, the 7 lights of the Kinara really shine. How close these beliefs are to yours and mine. As we celebrate, let's keep one thing inside. We'll know when we truly have seen the light, with a flicker and glimmer of mirth,
webinar today.
only when there's peace on earth.
Community at Bialik Rogozin School. Thank you for all the families.
Sleep at night underneath the same sky. Yet there's war, suffering, poverty, and we wonder why. We share the same sun when we arise. We can't seem to open our eyes. We sleep at night underneath the same sky. As we celebrate, let's keep one thing inside. We know when you truly have seen the light, with a flicker and glimmer of birth, only when there's peace on earth. We float through space and time on the same planet. How perfect and tranquil is our universal home. Everything we need this earth provides. If only all its people could be so wise. We float through space and time on the same planet. As we celebrate, let's keep one thing inside. We know when we truly have seen the light, with a flicker and glimmer of birth, only when there's peace on earth.
is, everybody.